that, I guess it's a good time to answer some questions from
the interwebs. Sure.
And actually, before we get into questions from the interwebs,
speaking of interwebs,
there's kind of some ways that you can utilize the interwebs for other things.
Yep. One of them is.
And by the way, this, for those of you that don't know, now Echo's going to say some stuff about the interwebs and about supporting the podcast. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit a switch and do a little decompression. I'm going to drink some white tea over here with a little pomegranate in it. And I'm going to get a little adjustment, a little mindset change. Get into the zone for answering some questions.
Sure.
So there's actually a dual purpose for Echo's discussion of how to support the podcast. Yes, it shows you how to support the podcast, which is much appreciated. Also, I can decompress for a minute.
Yep.
From being bombed by my own planes, from being stressed, from being back in the war zone, World War II style.
Bro, how he describes it. I mean, you can, writers in general are just really good at explaining stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty much all right. And you can see the difference in the way this one in particular really, to me anyway, really delivered with the descriptions and stuff. And it was like,
yeah, there's so many one-liners in there.
Yeah.
Where I'm listening, when I was reading it, I have certain ways of notating kind of what I'm going to read and that, some of the stuff's just circled and some of it's this and that. But occasionally, if something to me, if it hits me, I put one single red line underneath each individual word that I'm going to read. And I might do that like once or twice a book, but there's a couple paragraphs where I had done it multiple times because those lines are just powerful. Like the one that I just opened the book back up to reread it.
You can't put it down.
But when he's like, and then a new sound gradually droned into our ears, a sound deep and all-encompassing with no notes in it. Just a gigantic faraway surge of doom-like sound. And this is the part that I underlined. It was the heavies. And you, just the power of that, just knowing like these are the heavy bombers, which, it's no big deal to us now because we have giant machines, but a heavy bomber back then was like it was just this ultimate modern machine that had been created that nothing could destroy nothing was close to it. And not only have we created one of these insane power machines, we'd created hundreds and hundreds, and actually we created thousands of them. And they were all amassed and coming to destroy this little section. It was the heavies. God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a book that definitely draws you in, and his writing that the fact that he writes very straightforward, very very plain and direct English is, I think, one of the things that makes it so powerful.
I love how he compares, like. And a lot of writers do this, and when you can do it good, it's really powerful. Where, like for example, he talked about the one plane that I think he got hit or was crashing, and he compared it to. He said it was a spear, a light lit spear with the smoke trail. It's like, dang, you can see exactly what that looks like. Just. Boom.
And it's weird too because although you can go watch this, I mean, they have film footage of this stuff, but that takes you there visually. But I think what reading and listening does. It takes you there mentally. Yeah. It takes you there in your head. Yeah, which is more powerful than. And this happens to me all the time when I'm reading, and I'm getting better. When we started this podcast, I could tell like, oh, that's powerful. Like, oh yeah, that's a really powerful statement. And then sometimes I would read it and it would be 12 more times more powerful, where I'd be like, oh my God, I'd be getting just power. Because when you read it aloud, and now I'm a little bit more aware that, hey, you're going to have to read this.
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, you better get your head in the game because it's going to be powerful.
Yeah.
So that's something I've become more aware of as we've done this more and more, and as I've read all these books and gone through them and underlined the stuff and thought about the way it's going to sound and thought about what it means to say it was the heavies. Awesome.